Good morning, I'm Diane Macedo. We're coming on the air with a major development in the search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. ABC News has confirmed law enforcement is releasing new images of a possible subject in Nancy's disappearance. Authorities believe the 84-year-old was taken from her home against her will more than a week ago.
A shocking disappearance, unanswered questions, and unsettling secrets have gripped the nation, placing one family under intense scrutiny. In the quiet hours of the night, Nancy Guthrie vanished, leaving a trail of clues that investigators say point to the person closest to her, her son-in-law. From a 14-hour window no one else could calculate, to masked intruders moving with alarming precision, unknown DNA, and financial mysteries, every detail deepens the intrigue. These are the 10 reasons this case has captured the world's attention. Number 10. He was the last to see her alive. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was last seen enjoying a quiet dinner with her daughter and her son-in-law. He drove her home, stayed long enough to make sure she was safely inside, and left knowing she was alone. Everything seemed ordinary, uneventful, a normal family evening. But the ordinary shattered in the hours that followed. By the early morning, Nancy had vanished without a trace. No struggle, no forced entry, no witnesses, just an empty home and a rising sense of dread. In cases like this, detectives first focus on the last person to have confirmed contact with the missing individual. That person becomes a critical piece of the puzzle, not necessarily a suspect, but someone whose actions, timing, and knowledge matter more than anyone else's. And in Nancy's case, that final confirmed contact was her son-in-law. The hours after she was last seen are just as haunting. From the moment she stepped inside her home until she failed to appear for her morning routines. A 14-hour window exists that only he could precisely calculate. Investigators are trained to examine these gaps in time because often the answers to a disappearance lie not just in what is seen, but in what happens when no one is watching. Every step he took, every decision he made during that evening becomes a lens through which investigators examine the mystery. The timing alone raises questions, and those questions have made him a central figure in one of the nation's most puzzling missing persons cases. Nancy's son-in-law was the last person to see her and even drove her home, making him the only confirmed person with her that night. But is that enough to accuse him? Or is there other evidence suggesting he cannot be cleared? Let's uncover another shocking fact. Number 9. The 14-hour mystery. The night Nancy vanished is more than just a date on a calendar. It is a sequence of moments that investigators are dissecting piece by piece. At 9:50 p.m., her garage door closed, signaling the end of a seemingly ordinary evening. Hours later, in the middle of the night, her doorbell camera went offline at exactly 1:47 a.m., cutting off a crucial line of visual evidence. Then, at 2:28 a.m., the signal from her pacemaker app abruptly disappeared, confirming that Nancy was no longer near her home. By the time she missed her usual church service the next morning at 11 a.m., 14 long hours had passed without a single sign of her. This 14-hour gap is not just empty time. For investigators, it represents a carefully calculated window. It is the period in which a crime could have occurred without immediate detection. What stands out is the precision only someone intimately familiar with Nancy's habits and schedule could know exactly when she would be alone, when cameras might fail, and when no one would notice her absence. That kind of knowledge raises questions that investigators cannot ignore. Was this gap merely a coincidence, or was it deliberately exploited by someone close to her? Every minute of those 14 hours becomes a puzzle piece, a clue, and a spotlight on those who knew her life best. In cases like this, time is never just time. It tells a story, and investigators are determined to read every detail. Beyond the timing that could only have been calculated by an insider, what does the operation leading to Nancy's disappearance indicate? Could someone who doesn't know her well be so precise in carrying it out? Now, let's explore the next reason Nancy's son-in-law cannot be exonerated. Number 8. The masked intruder's chilling confidence. When investigators finally recovered the damaged doorbell footage, one detail immediately stood out. The masked intruder didn't hesitate, wander, or search aimlessly as a stranger might. He walked with purpose directly toward the camera, as if he knew exactly where it was and how to approach it. In the dead of night, with barely any light to guide him, He reached for plants in the garden and used them to obscure the lens, a move that required both precision and confidence. When that failed, he didn't panic. He simply smashed the camera, ensuring it could no longer record a thing. Experts who reviewed the footage noted something chilling. These actions weren't random. The intruder moved like someone who had been there before, someone intimately familiar with the layout of the property. There was no hesitation, no fumbling, no nervous scanning of the surroundings. Every movement suggested preparation, knowledge, and an awareness that only someone close to the home or with insider information could possess. In investigations, details like this matter. They tell detectives that this was not the work of a random burglar or opportunistic stranger. Someone knew the exact location of the camera, understood how it could be disabled, and navigated the space with uncanny ease. Every planted step, every careful gesture, every calculated action points toward the possibility that the person behind the mask had a connection to the home. Could this familiarity trace back to him, the son-in-law, who knew the property better than anyone else? For investigators, this footage isn't just evidence. It's a puzzle piece that could unlock the truth. If the kidnapper was not an insider, he wouldn't have gone straight to the doorbell, attempting to remove any evidence that could be used to track him. But what does the footage reveal about his appearance? Now, let's take a closer look at a height that seems surprisingly close. Number 7. Blueprint of suspicion. Forensic experts analyzing the doorbell footage estimated the masked intruder's height to be between 5 feet 9 inches and 5 feet 10 inches with an average build. On paper, this seems like a clear mismatch. The son-in-law, standing closer to 6 feet tall, doesn't quite fit that profile. At first glance, one might think this discrepancy rules him out entirely. But investigators know better than to make assumptions based on height alone. The bigger question becomes not who stood at the door, but who could have carried out such a carefully executed plan with intimate knowledge of the home. This was no random break-in. The intruder moved with precision, knew where the cameras were, and acted confidently in complete darkness. That level of familiarity is rarely seen in strangers. Investigators are now looking beyond just the individual seen on camera. They ask, if it wasn't the son-in-law himself, who else close to him could have had access to the home, understood its layout, and been capable of navigating it flawlessly? Long-standing friendships, trusted associates, and personal connections suddenly take on new significance. In high-profile disappearances, details like this are crucial. It's not simply about matching physical characteristics, it's about mapping relationships, trust, and access. Every connection is scrutinized, every possibility weighed, because someone with inside knowledge could have orchestrated events in a way that keeps them off the immediate radar. The forensic height estimate may appear to rule someone out, but when combined with intimate knowledge of the house and relationships, it opens a much larger circle of suspicion. The footage of the suspect is very similar to Nancy's son-in-law, or someone extremely close to him. But who is this close associate who could have obtained inside information from Nancy's household? And what makes defending him so complicated? Now, let's reveal the bandmate who raises alarming questions. Number 6. A close associate with a criminal record. Investigators have begun examining the son-in-law's close circle, and one figure has drawn particular attention: a longtime friend and former bandmate. This is someone who shared nearly 2 decades of music, rehearsals, and personal connections, making him familiar with routines, habits, and perhaps even private spaces. Analysts studying recovered footage noticed details that immediately caught their eye. The masked intruder seen in the recordings displayed an athletic build, which strikingly aligns with the friend's physique. Observers also noted that the facial hair visible under the ski mask resembles his own, a subtle but potentially important clue. Even more compelling, there is a tattoo on the right wrist, a detail former FBI profiler Jim Clemente has described as a critical identifier for narrowing down suspects. Beyond appearances, this individual has a documented history of prior felony offenses, including burglary, robbery, and theft crimes that suggest both skill and comfort with illegal entry. Authorities have been careful not to publicly label him as a suspect, emphasizing that no charges have been filed and that investigations are ongoing. Yet the combination of his long-standing connection to the son-in-law, physical resemblance to the masked figure, identifying tattoo, and criminal background creates a layer of intrigue that investigators cannot ignore. In cases like this, relationships matter as much as evidence, and every detail from a shared song to a past conviction becomes a piece of the puzzle. This person's presence in the story adds tension, mystery, and the chilling possibility that someone close to the family may hold secrets critical to solving the disappearance. With a daring criminal record, Nancy's son-in-law's friend bears a striking resemblance to the kidnapper captured on footage. But can Nancy's son-in-law truly be defended? And what do veteran journalists say about him? Now, let's uncover the shocking details. Number 5. A veteran journalist points a finger. Veteran journalist Ashley Banfield brought a startling claim to light, reporting that a trusted law enforcement source had referred to the son-in-law as a prime suspect in Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Her reporting wasn't just vague commentary, it highlighted specific investigative actions that deepened public scrutiny. According to her sources, a vehicle connected to the household had been seized as evidence, potentially holding critical clues. Inside the home itself, traces of blood were reportedly discovered, raising urgent questions about what may have occurred during the hours Nancy was missing. Banfield also revealed that her source noted internal tension among investigators, concerned about leaks and how the information was circulating. This kind of internal worry often signals that officials are taking the lead suspect seriously, even if they aren't publicly naming names. The sheriff's department denied making any official statement about suspects, emphasizing that no one was cleared or charged. Yet, in the absence of a public denial, the spotlight naturally fell on him, leaving the public to wonder about his role. What makes this point so compelling is the combination of media reporting, partial confirmations, and official silence. In high-profile investigations, information rarely travels in a straight line. Leaks, selective disclosures, and careful phrasing can shape public perception as much as evidence itself. The convergence of these details, the seized vehicle, blood evidence, internal concern, and official non-denial, creates a picture that keeps the son-in-law under intense scrutiny in the eyes of investigators and the public alike, making this one of the most talked-about angles in the case. The journalist, with extensive experience in analyzing kidnappings, could not clear Nancy's son-in-law. But could the FBI be quietly gathering evidence to build their own analysis? Now, let's explore how the FBI repeatedly focused on his household. Number 4. Unrelenting scrutiny. The FBI's visits to Nancy's son-in-law's home were far from ordinary. Investigators returned repeatedly, each trip digging deeper into the mystery. Inside, agents moved with precision, removing boxes, examining every corner, and collecting items that might hold crucial clues. Every tool, every document, every detail was carefully cataloged. These repeated, methodical searches reveal just how serious authorities are about uncovering the truth behind Nancy's disappearance. Investigators didn't hold back, using advanced digital extraction tools to uncover hidden data from phones, computers, and other electronics, searching for messages, locations, or secrets previously unknown. Their work didn't stop at the house. Neighbors were interviewed multiple times, canvassed thoroughly for any unusual sightings, movements, or subtle shifts in daily routines. Every detail, no matter how small, was scrutinized, building a clearer picture of the events surrounding Nancy's disappearance. Every street, every passing car, every time-stamped observation was scrutinized, creating a network of patterns that could point toward the truth. In investigations of this magnitude, repeated attention isn't coincidental. Experts say that when authorities focus time and resources on a single household, it often signals the presence of key information or persons of interest. It's a deliberate, methodical approach designed to uncover connections that are invisible at first glance. Each visit, each interview, and each data extraction builds a larger puzzle, connecting fragments that might otherwise go unnoticed. In the context of Nancy Guthrie's mysterious disappearance, these sustained FBI efforts indicate that every detail of the household, from who lives there to the smallest digital footprint, is being examined with intense scrutiny. What emerges from this meticulous process could be the breakthrough that changes the course of the investigation entirely. The FBI's sustained attention points to key persons of interest, but what actions of Nancy's son-in-law could suggest his involvement in the kidnapping? Let's explore the next reason. Number 3, a legal move that raises eyebrows. 8 months before Nancy vanished, the son-in-law reportedly granted his wife durable power of attorney over his personal and financial affairs. On the surface, such arrangements are standard. Many couples do this for practical reasons, such as estate planning, managing real estate, or preparing for medical situations. It is a legal tool, not a red flag in itself. Yet the timing raises questions. Why make this change just months before a major family crisis erupted? Investigators note that timing matters almost as much as the act itself. While it could be entirely routine, it also opens the door to speculation. Was he anticipating scrutiny or potential complications in managing his finances or personal matters? Could he have been planning for a scenario where his control over certain assets might be questioned? Detectives don't treat coincidences lightly. In high-stakes investigations, every legal move, every financial decision, and every unusual pattern becomes a part of the puzzle. Power of attorney transfers are neutral on their own, but when combined with unexplained disappearances, unexpected absences, and forensic clues, they can become critical pieces of context. At this stage, nothing confirms guilt, but investigators examine even the most mundane details, asking whether normal legal actions might inadvertently reveal intentions or vulnerabilities. The transfer itself doesn't prove wrongdoing, but in the world of criminal investigation, context is everything. This carefully timed legal move now sits under the microscope, adding a layer of intrigue and raising the question, was it just a routine arrangement or something more deliberate? Such legal arrangements are common, yet the timing raises suspicion. But what could be another reason behind the kidnapping? Might monetary gain be involved? Let's find out. Number 2. The wealth gap that raises questions about motive. In every investigation, detectives look closely at financial dynamics, because while money alone never proves guilt, it often shapes motive. In this case, the son-in-law earns a steady teacher's salary, providing for his family and living a comfortable, modest life. But the backdrop against which his income is measured is staggering. Nancy's home is valued at over $1 million, a significant estate in its own right. Meanwhile, her daughter's reported net worth sits near $40 million, a fortune that places them in a completely different financial league. The contrast is striking, and it naturally draws attention. Who stands to gain if the unthinkable were to happen? Detectives are trained to ask this question in every disappearance, every unexplained event. Who benefits and how? The stark gap between modest earnings and multi-million-dollar assets creates a lens through which investigators view every action, every decision, every detail. Even without direct evidence, such financial disparity cannot be ignored. It is a common thread in true crime cases, providing context that helps authorities prioritize leads and examine relationships more closely. While money is never proof, it does illuminate possible motives, underlying tensions, and potential pressure points that could influence behavior. In this case, the economic imbalance between the son-in-law and his wealthy relatives adds another layer of intrigue to the mystery, keeping investigators and the public alike asking questions. It's not about assuming guilt. It's about understanding the environment in which this baffling disappearance unfolded and considering all possibilities. The financial imbalance between Nancy's son-in-law and his wife could be a potential factor in the kidnapping. But what is the number one reason he might be involved? How heavily does this clue weigh in the investigation? Let's unravel the shocking details. Number 1. The mysterious DNA that could unlock the entire case. Perhaps the most intriguing development in Nancy's disappearance is the discovery of DNA at her property that does not belong to her or anyone in her immediate family. This unknown genetic material has sparked intense curiosity among investigators because DNA often tells a story that no eyewitness or suspect statement can. Adding to the mystery, a black glove was found roughly 2 miles from her home, and it is now undergoing forensic testing to determine if it matches the unknown DNA. Authorities are taking the investigation a step further by collecting cheek swabs from individuals connected to the case. These samples could be used for genetic genealogy, a cutting-edge investigative tool that traces DNA through public databases and family trees. This is the same method that helped law enforcement finally identify the infamous Golden State Killer, ending decades of unanswered questions. Genetic genealogy allows investigators to connect biological material to a broader network of relatives, sometimes revealing previously hidden links that are critical in solving complex cases. If the unknown DNA ultimately matches someone within the son-in-law's circle, whether a friend, associate, or close family member, the implications could be profound. It could shift the focus of the investigation entirely, transforming theories into actionable leads. Conversely, if it points to someone outside that immediate circle, the case may take an unexpected turn, opening entirely new avenues for investigators to explore. At this moment, the unknown DNA sits quietly in a lab, holding secrets that could either confirm deep suspicions or uncover startling new twists. In true crime investigations, evidence speaks louder than rumors, and this single clue could change everything. It may finally reveal who was truly behind Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, or open an entirely new path in the case. Every day that passes, the mystery tightens, and all eyes wait for the results that could crack it wide open. So, what do you make of these 10 reasons pointing to Nancy's son-in-law as the kidnapper? Is there any way he could clear his name? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.